Yo, what is up, guys? It is Nick with the Notorious Fantasy back again today with another fantasy football mock draft on the Sleeper app. Today we're doing a 12-team mock on Sleeper with Hussein the Brain, aka Fantasy Couch. So, we are at pick 9, and this video is being recorded on Wednesday, July 24th, but it may come out even later due to me trying to do the videos that people have been requesting. So please leave a subscribe down below, click that notification bell so you get notified for every video, and leave a comment what kind of video you want to see next. And my rankings will be coming soon in August. So the first pick of the draft was Saquon Barkley, followed by Ezekiel Elliott, Christian McCaffrey, Alvin Kamara, David Johnson, DeAndre Hopkins. This is a 17 round draft, so the bench is very deep. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 bench spots. Typically, I don't do a deep bench like this, but in this kind of a draft, you can definitely see who the sleepers are, who are super late sleeper guys that I like, that I would recommend picking if you have a deeper bench. So, after DeAndre Hopkins went, Devontae Adams went, followed by Michael Thomas, and now it's our pick at the 9 spot. The running backs are not looking too great here, so I would rather just go wide receiver here and go with Julio Jones, because a guy like Melvin Gordon, to me, I don't know what to do with his if he's gonna hold out or not. Le'Veon Bell, I don't necessarily love. James Conner, I like James Conner, but that's too early to pick James Conner in my opinion, and I'd rather get Joe Mixon on the swing. I noticed that the Julio Joe Mixon combo at the swing, at the end of the ninth, or at the end of the first and beginning of the second round, when you're at the end of the draft, it happens a lot, and I end up liking my team a lot when I do that. So we're just gonna go with hopefully a good running back on the swing back. So after we picked Julio, Le'Veon Bell came off the board, followed by Odell Beckham Jr., James Conner, and now we wait. Potentially, we could end up with the combo of Julio and Tyreek Hill, potentially. And that's what, if we were to go 2 wide receivers, that's the kind of team I want to have. But no, we end up getting absolutely sniped from there. So we'll just end up going with a running back here because I don't really like AB, and he's the best wide receiver available. And I feel weird picking Evans over AB, so we're just going to go with a running back. And the best running back on the board right now is Damian Williams. Now you might say, oh, you picked Damian Williams over a guy like Todd Gurley or Dalvin Cook or Melvin Gordon. Now, I'll explain to you why about Melvin Gordon because of his suspension, or not suspension, his him trying to hold out. We don't know if he's going to sign. We don't know if he's going to get kicked to the curb, get traded, or do whatever. So that situation is pretty confusing. I think Melvin Gordon will end up signing, getting the deal done that he wants to get done, and he'll end up playing. But that could mean he misses some games, which would not be very good. So, after we picked Damian Williams, AB was picked, followed by Dalvin Cook. I don't like Dalvin Cook because of his injury proneness, and I try to avoid injuries. And Todd Gurley, I don't like due to his injury of the arthritis of the knee. I don't like that, so we stray away from that. So after Dalvin Cook was picked, Melvin Gordon went, followed by Mike Evans. Sorry guys if I repeat certain picks because the draft goes pretty slow, and I want to make sure you guys understand completely what I'm talking about when I'm doing these drafts. And I also would like to advise, if you guys do end up sticking around for the whole video, all 17 rounds, I know it may take a while, so you can just you can take a break in the middle of it. Come back later, come back tomorrow, get the whole thing, because if you just watch the first couple of rounds, you're not going to know what to do later. And the later round picks typically can win you your draft, whereas the first 4 rounds are pretty normal in every single draft. And I do talk about the players the whole draft, so you'll get a good grasp of each player that has been selected off the board. I do talk about most players that are picked, not necessarily all of them. But a guy like Travis Kelce was picked, not a guy like Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce himself was picked after Mike Evans, followed by Nick Chubb, and then Keenan Allen. Let's see. After Keenan Allen, T.Y. was picked. So like I always say in these videos, Travis Kelce and the big 3 tight ends go in the first 4 rounds. Travis Kelce, Ertz, and Kittle are all going to fly off the board pretty fast. So you're going to want to get those guys fast and early if you do end up wanting to get those guys. So after T.Y. Hilton went, Patrick Mahomes was selected off the board. Pat Mahomes is going to be the first quarterback off the board. Typically, in most drafts, picking him with a 3-1 is a bit too early for me, for my liking, but what do I know? Actually, I know a lot, and I would not do that. But in your at-home draft, Mahomes may end up going in the first or second round, so be prepared for that. These are people who care a lot about fantasy because we're in like a couch fam. Couch fam is FantasyCouch. Who's saying the brains? That's his fan base. So there's people who know a lot about fantasy. LA to Philly is also Dr. Raj, a doctor who talks a lot about fantasy. So Pat Mahomes went, followed by Todd Gurley, another injury guy that I said to avoid, Aaron Jones, and Amari Cooper. Now I don't know if I said that before, but that is besides the point. So sorry if I just stopped talking randomly because I try to read shit that's on the screen and I just got a lot of things in my head. So Amari Cooper was picked, followed by George Kittle. Now I personally think George Kittle is going to be better than Ertz this year. Some people will tell me that Ertz is better than Kittle, and I just don't think so. I'd rather have someone who's young, who there's no one really threatening his job. Now, Zach Ertz's job isn't really technically being threatened by Goddard, but Goddard is definitely going to start getting a lot more snaps. And started to get used a lot more towards the end of last season. So that does kind of worry me about Zach Ertz, a guy who was previously injury prone now. Last year, I believe he played all 16, but in years prior, I don't think he did that. So after George Kittle me Timbers was selected, Derrick Henry came off the board, followed by Zach Ertz, and now we are just one pick away from our pick here. Hopefully, my boy Carry-On is still available at the pick. Oh, Marlon Mack went, so we do end up getting Carry-On there. I was talking for nothing because I would have went Marlon Mack over Carry-On, but Marlon Mack did end up getting selected before Carry-On Johnson. Now you may say, Nick, why wouldn't you pick Leonard Fournette? Why wouldn't you pick Devontae Freeman? Because I don't like injuries. I don't trust the injuries. And we stay away from those injuries. We say, no, not today to those injuries. We don't want to draft guys that are injury prone. So, after we picked Kerryon Johnson, Adam Thielen came off the board, followed by AJ Green. 2, I like Adam Thielen. I don't like AJ Green due to the injury risk, like I said. Don't draft injury prone guys, in my opinion. AJ Green gets turf toe all the time. Don't trust that. Devontae Freeman, some injury prone, but definitely has great skills that I think AJ Green may have lost over the past couple of years. And Devontae Freeman could end up having a great year this year if he avoids injury. So, 1, 2, 3, 4. We got 4 picks left until we get to 3 picks left until we get to go. That's one thing I like about Sleeper is you get to visualize a lot easier how close you are over an app like ESPN and stuff. I just like the way that this draft looks. It's easier to figure out who's been picked and shit like that because you can just read it. So after Devontae Freeman went, Stefon Diggs went. Typically, Adam Thielen and Stefon Diggs go near each other. Now Leonard Fournette went. So we are gonna see if we can get a running back here, and we are gonna be able to secure David Montgomery here. And I'm going to go David Montgomery over a wide receiver here because David Montgomery will end up being a great asset into our flex just a couple weeks into the season. And the receivers we're going to be able to get when we come back will also be pretty good. And I'm not too worried about getting a wide receiver later, whereas the running backs later do get worse. Now, in the comments, you can tell me if you would have went David Montgomery, or you would have preferred to go a guy like Julian Edelman or Brandon Cooks or Robert Woods, any of those guys, any of these guys that are on the screen right now. Tell me who you would have went there if you ended up not wanting to go David Montgomery. Now, after David Montgomery went, Julian Edelman went. Julian Edelman or Robert Woods probably would have been my choice, or Kenny Galladay probably would have been my choice there. But hopefully one of these good receivers like Lockett or Mike Williams, DJ Moore, Tyler Boyd, some of these guys can fall to us in like the 6th or 7th round that we can pick up. Now, one quarterback has been taken and 3 tight ends. So this team we have currently is pretty good. Now, in these kind of drafts where people tend to not reach for quarterbacks early, you get a lot of quarterback value. I'd say around like the 7th round because a guy like or 6th round because a guy like Aaron Rodgers who typically goes in your at-home league draft may end up going in like the 2nd or 3rd round or 4th round is going to be there just a couple of rounds later, and there's so much value there. See, like the Andrew Luck of the 4th round is pretty valuable. Now, I don't typically like my team if I go quarterback early, but I do think that it could end up being pretty good. Now, this guy's team, in my opinion, I hate his team. Made a good pick with the first pick of DeAndre Hopkins. I would prefer Devontae Adams, but nothing against that guy. But then he followed it up with Melvin Gordon, who we have no idea what's going to happen with him, and then Derrick Henry, who in my opinion is pretty confusing, and I don't know what's going to happen with him either. I don't know if they're going to rely on Henry a lot, or they're just going to absolutely stop using him. It's very confusing in my opinion. So after Andrew Luck went, Robert Woods was selected, followed by Calvin Ridley. Now, Calvin Ridley is a guy I like, but I would not be willing to pick Calvin Ridley in this situation earlier because I already have Julio. And picking 2 wide receivers from Atlanta would be kind of stupid. Picking 2 wide receivers from the same team, in my opinion, doesn't really work well. Now, having a running back and a receiver on the same team, say we had Damian Williams and Tyreek Hill, or Julio, Devontae Freeman would be fine. Or if we had Damian Williams and Travis Kelce, that's fine in my opinion. But if you want to go like both receivers from the same team, typically that does not work as well. I guess when you're on such a high-powered offense like the Falcons, it could end up working. But if the Falcons end up having a bad game, it's really hard to score a lot of points, obviously, from your 2 wide receivers, your wide receiver 1 and 2, if the Atlanta Falcons were to have an off game in that situation. So after Calvin Ridley was selected, Kenny Galladay came off the board at the 4-10, followed by Mark Ingram. Now, I have talked a lot about a guy like Kenny Galladay, who I like a lot. A guy like Woods, I like a lot. Who you can see in all my videos. I talk a lot about these guys. Galladay, I like because I think the Lions are going to have a turnaround year this year. I think Stafford's going to be slinging the rock as per usual before last year. And I think that Galladay is going to see a lot of work in that offense. Now, let me also talk about Kerryon, who we selected in the 3rd round. Now, Kerryon is someone who I like a lot because of his. They said that they're going to run the hot hand in Detroit. So that pretty much means the hot hand is obviously going to be Kerryon Johnson. So they're just going to run him, run him, run him, run him. Their coach, whose name is escaping me, Matt Patricia, the ex-Patriots coach, is going to run the offense like how the Patriots did. They're going to run the ball more, but that obviously still means Kenny Galladay is still going to do fine, in my opinion. But that makes Kerryon Johnson better now. Hopefully he does not get hurt because he did end up getting hurt last year. But he has such high talent. He could end up being a top 10 running back this season, in my opinion. So getting that kind of value in the 3rd round is definitely huge. Now, I don't see him creeping up the draft boards come draft season because there's a lot of great running backs ahead of him. Chubb, Cook, Williams, Mixon, Connor, Lev Bell. None of these guys are going to move, in my opinion. So after Mark Ingram was picked, Tyler Lockett came off the board, followed by Philip Lindsay, Chris Godwin, and Cooper Kupp. So we have 1, 2, a 3, a 4, 5, 4 picks now left until I pick. Now this guy picked Miles Sanders. Now that's quite the reach. I don't know if I would have necessarily done that. Typically, you get Miles Sanders a couple of rounds later. That is, I don't know. I mean, right now, if Kenyon Drake was to have fallen, Kenyon Drake or Chris Carson will to have fallen to me here, I'll be quite disappointed that I went Montgomery when I probably could have gotten a solid receiver, but I still end up getting a solid receiver here, so we'll be a-okay in my opinion. Even though I don't think you can necessarily start David Montgomery once the season starts because we don't know what his role is going to be at the beginning of the season. And they ran Jordan Howard a shit ton last year in Chicago. So and Montgomery, in my opinion, better back than Jordan Howard. So hopefully David Montgomery hops into that role gets those runs and runs them in for some touchdowns. So after Miles Sanders was selected, Chris Carson did end up coming off the board, followed by Mike Williams. Now we're gonna need to hope here that some receivers do end up coming my way here. Hopefully we can get Tyler Boyd and Dante Pettis here. That would be quite ideal. Now we would have 2x9 players out at the same time. Our 2 starting receivers, Julio and Tyler Boyd, will be out at the same time. But that's okay because you get running back or receiver depth for that. So after Mike Williams was selected, James White came off the board. And now we wait one more pick until our turn. We got a whole long draft ahead of us, so you guys better buckle in. And while you're waiting, go down below, click that subscribe button to get subscribed, get all the videos, leave a like, and leaving a like and commenting actually helps my channel out a lot. So that really means a lot to me when you guys leave like encouraging comments and stuff. It really makes me happy, and it makes me realize that all the work I put into these videos is helping you guys and makes me feel good. So after James White was selected, O.J. Howard came out the board, and now it's our pick. Like I said, we're going to go wide receiver now. I do like DJ Moore a lot, but I do like Tyler Boyd more. Now, if DJ Moore does fall to us, I may end up going DJ Moore instead of Pettis here, but we'll just have to see. I think I like Pettis more than DJ Moore. More than DJ Moore, but I do like DJ Moore a lot because of the upside of him being the wide receiver 1 on Carolina. And as long as Cam Newton can stay healthy with that shoulder, then we should be all good. So after we picked Tyler Boyd, Sony Michel came off the board, followed by Jarvis Landry. And now we wait. So let's see. Aaron Rodgers off the board in the 5th round. That's definitely some solid value there. We were hoping to get that in like the 6th or 7th round, but that's all good with me. Hopefully we can get Matt Ryan in the 7th round to get the Julio Matty Ice stack onto our team. Now I don't necessarily build my lineup for stacks, but if that just happens to fall to me, then I'll go ahead and do that. Now, in these deep bench leagues like this, where I've got like 8 bench spots, you need to draft a backup quarterback because a lot of the backup quarterbacks that you'll want will not be on the waiver wire because people will take 2, maybe even 3 quarterbacks to roster. So I may end up going with 2 quarterbacks in that situation. So after Aaron Rodgers was selected, Kenny Drake came off the board. Oh, I just smacked my mic on my water bottle. Kenny Drake came off the board, followed by DJ Moore, Evan Ingram, and now it's my pick. So we're going to end up picking Dante Pettis here. Dante Pettis is a guy who a lot of the fantasy community talks up. They think he could be good. I think he could be good. And I think he definitely can have a turnaround year this season. So for that reason, we are going to not turnaround year necessarily, but just a breakout year because I think he will end up finishing good this season. I think with the addition of Jimmy Garoppolo coming back and being healthy, I think that obviously helps a wide receiver on that team. A guy like Nick Mullins is way worse than Jimmy Garoppolo, even though Nick Mullins was okay for the receivers and Kittle. But that is the one question mark with Kittle now. Is Kittle going to be as good with Jimmy Garoppolo now? That, in my opinion, is a pretty stupid question because Jimmy Garoppolo can throw the ball better than Nick Mullins, so why would he not be better? Now, you might say, oh, they don't have a connection or something. They'll get that connection in fucking preseason training camp and OTAs and all that shit, so it'll be perfectly fine. So after we picked Dante Pettis, Tariq Cohen came off the board, followed by Tevin Coleman, 2 pass-catching running backs right in a row. Now, the thing with Tariq Cohen is I don't really like him this year due to the fact that I don't think that he's going to end up getting he's going to end up getting as many catches as last year, and he's going to end up getting as many offensive snaps and stuff because I think that David Montgomery is a more complete back, and Jordan Howard just couldn't really do it last year, so they were letting Tariq Cohen run the ball and shit, and I don't think he's going to end up doing that as much this season. So now, after Tariq Cohen came off the board, Tevin Coleman was picked, followed by Lamar Miller. Now, Tevin Coleman is a guy I'm not necessarily targeting due to the fact that I don't really want to draft any of the San Francisco running backs because there's so many. I'd rather just get a guy like Burrito later in the draft. How far down is Burrito? Let's see. Rank 167th, ADP 155, so pretty much free. And he's a guy who could end up being the running back one on such a backfield that is very confusing in San Francisco, but a offense that could probably score some points. So for that reason, I like Matt Breida. Sorry guys that I keep talking weirdly because I am reading many things on the screen. So after Tevin Coleman was picked, Lamar Miller went, followed by Alshon Jeffrey, Darrell Henderson. Now Darrell Henderson is a guy I target somewhat. Now if you draft Todd Gurley, what you need to understand is that you need Darrell Henderson because Darrell Henderson is going to get that work if Todd Gurley was to go down. And if Todd Gurley even is playing, he may get minimal work in certain game scripts where they're up big, and Darrell Henderson will be absolutely eating in those kind of games. But in a game where the thing with Darrell Henderson is a game where it's close and they need to win, Darrell Henderson is going to run in a touchdown. He's not going to be running out there very much. They're going to send Gurley in if they need to win. Now, the only thing that's hard to say about that is the fact that in the Super Bowl they needed Gurley most, and he was barely playing. They used fat CJ fucking Anderson. So who knows what the Rams will end up doing this year at running back? Now they're telling me that Sean McVay's telling us he's like, look, he's fine. Gurley's fine. He's all good. He's all good. They said he was all good before the fucking Super Bowl, guys. They said he was all good, and he barely touched the ball in the Super Bowl when it matters most. When Sean McVay could have kissed that beautiful Lombardi trophy and kicked that fucker Tom Brady right out of there. But instead, that is not what happened. So, Darrell Henderson went, followed by Hunter Henry, Eric Ebron, and Jared Cook. 3 tight ends in a row. Quite what you would call a tight end run. Now, typically, when you see this kind of a run, you could either, if you're afraid that Vance McDonald is going to make it to you, you pick Vance McDonald, or you just don't panic and you go with a different position and don't worry about the runs. So that's my advice. But if you get scared, you can't get scared when shit like this happens. You just pick who you want it to pick. The best way to start a run now is if you're at the part, like if you're over here, if you're say pick 12, you can pick 2 running backs in a row down here, and that'll start a running back run potentially because people will be scared that they'll be gone. If you pick 2 wide receivers in a row, then a wide receiver run may occur. If you pick a tight end and a quarterback, then a quarterback tight end run could occur. And that's how that works. I learned that from, I don't even remember whose video I was watching. I think it was Nick from Big Dogs Gotta Eat. That's a great fantasy YouTuber right there. If you guys aren't watching him, you should check him out too. But you should also check me out, but not in the gay way. Alright, so after Jared, you can do that too if you want. Alright, so after Jared Cook was selected, Allen Robinson came off the board, followed by Deshaun Watson, Robbie Anderson, and Baker Mayfield, and then Sterling Shepard. Now, I like a guy like I don't like Allen Robinson actually. I have never liked Allen Robinson. I don't like any really Chicago receivers. Uh, I don't like the sorry, my head is just in a cloud. I don't like the Chicago receivers because I don't know which one's gonna have the game. Is it gonna be Robinson? Is it gonna be Taylor Gabriel? Is it gonna be Tariq Cohen? Maybe. Is it gonna be David Montgomery? Who knows? Who really knows? Or is what's his name, Mitch Trubisky, just gonna run in the ball a million times and steal your touchdowns? So that's why I would avoid Chicago receivers. In the 7th round, I guess it's okay value with the wide receiver 1 on Chicago, but that's just my opinion. So after Sterling Shepard was picked, Vance McDonald was picked, followed by Rashad Penny. We have just 1 pick to go before we get to make our selection. So we have 3 running backs and 3 wide receivers. So right here, if we wanted to get a tight end, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 tight ends have already won. So if we want to get a tight end that I feel like I'm willing to start every single week, this is where we would do it. So, oh, he picked Matty Ice, so we're not going to be able to get Matt Ryan. But I feel like this is semi-reach here going David Njoku here, but I want to guarantee that I get that tight end that I want to start every single week in this type of situation and not end up with one of these guys later when I think Njoku's going to have a great year this season. So we're going to go David Njoku here. And we can get more running backs here. Hopefully Latavius Murray does end up falling to me. That would be quite great. And hopefully in the 9th round we're going to be able to get a quarterback because I would have went Matt Ice right there, potentially. And Matthew Ice is Matt Ryan, in case you didn't know. Because I like his upside a lot, and he has 13 games in a dome, so obviously he's going to be slinging the ball out there. And I have Julio Jones, so every time Matt Ryan throws a bomb to Julio Jones, you're getting 12 points if it's a 6-point passing touchdown league, or 10 points if it's, or you're getting 12 points if it's a 6-point passing touchdown league, and you're getting 10 points if it's a 4-point passing touchdown league, just for that one play when they connect. And they're going to be connecting all types of times. Matt Ryan's going to be throwing the ball to Julio a lot, so I'm not too worried about that. And I do like that combo a lot. Now, I don't necessarily look for it. If I draft Julio, you don't need Matt Ryan. If you draft Matt Ryan, you definitely don't need Julio. But if you want to go, if you're part of that stack lifestyle, you like the stack, then that's a good stack to have. Another good one, Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams. Now, doing that one is a lot harder because you have to commit a first-round draft pick on Devontae Adams and then likely a 4th or 5th round, maybe even early 3rd-round pick on Aaron Rodgers, so your running back depth is not going to be as good as it could have been. So, after we went David Njoku, Marvin Jones was taken off the board, followed by Christian Kirk, Will Fuller. Now, Will Fuller is guy who I like because I think he's going to score a lot of points, right? He's going to put up a lot of points for like 6 weeks in a row, and then he's going to get hurt. Now, if you want those points, you like those points, you're a point whore. You're all about the points. Getting them points. Then you're going to want Will Fuller, and then you just drop his ass once he get hurt, pick up another wide receiver. But the guy like later on that team also, Kiki Kuti, is going to end up hopping in that wide receiver 2 role that is so great on Houston once Will Fuller gets hurt. So after Will Fuller went, Ronald Jones went, followed by Darius Geis and Royce Freeman. So we are going to be able to get the running back we were targeting, and that is Latavius Murray. Now, Latavius Murray is a running back that some people might not like. Oh, he's a backup running back. No, he's going to be getting touches. He is a backup running back, but he's going to be getting touches. He could be scoring touchdowns. And if Alvin Kamara was to go down, Latavius Murray would end up probably being a running back 1 in fantasy football. Oh gosh, I just blanked completely for like 5 seconds there. So I'm sorry. So after we went Latavius Murray, Austin Eckler was selected off the board. Now, Austin Eckler is a guy who's rising up the draft boards. Like, oh, yet another joke I don't think I can make on this YouTube channel. So, Austin Eckler was selected off the board, and his ADP is rising a lot due to Melvin Gordon wanting to hold out and not knowing what's going to happen. Now, I think Austin Eckler is going to benefit, obviously, from that. Austin Eckler benefits even during the games that Melvin Gordon's in. But a guy like Justin Jackson, who goes, let's see, we'll type it in here. Justin Jackson's current ADP is 160. Now, that is probably going to rise if Melvin Gordon does end up holding out, and I'm willing to pick him in like the 12th or 13th round because knowing that I could get a guy who's going to be getting hella rushes while Melvin Gordon is either out or, well, if Melvin Gordon gets traded, that's good. But if he was to, even if he was to, they just hold him for a bit and he doesn't play a couple of weeks, then he's going to benefit from that, obviously. So after Austin Eckler was picked, Kyler Murray came off the board, followed by Marquez Valdez, Scantling, Russell Wilson, and Jalen Samuels. So we are going to talk about a few guys here. Kyler Murray would be the first guy I would want to talk about here. Now, Kyler Murray is a running back, or not a running back. He's a quarterback who likes running the ball. That's true. Now, he was a first-round draft pick, the first overall draft pick in the NFL draft in 2018 or 2019, whatever. This year, he was the first pick. And now you might be telling me, Nick, Arizona sucks. I'm aware they're not that good, but you want to know what? They're going to run a shit ton of offensive plays. Kyler Murray's going to run around like a fucking chicken with his head cut off, and he's going to be running for first downs. And running quarterbacks, guys who are mobile, they run around. They're better for your fantasy team because when they run in a touchdown, if it's a 4-point quarterback touchdown league, they get 6 points for the rushing touchdown. They only have to run 10 yards to get 1 point, whereas they have to throw 25 yards to get 1 point. So typically, if that's how your league settings work. So that's just obviously an advantage there for a running quarterback. And Kyler Murray obviously has a decent arm, in my opinion. So getting him in around the 8th or ninth round is pretty good now. He was typically going just a few months ago. Not a few months ago. Right now it is July 24th as I'm recording this. In June, he was going in like round 10 or 11, just a few rounds later. And I liked him a lot there. I still like him in the 8th round. Will I pull the trigger on it? Potentially. If I had a team like his, I don't really like his team that much, but I may pull the trigger there. I know I wouldn't have pulled the trigger there with my pick because I like Latavius so much, but in the 9th round, I would definitely be willing to pull the trigger. So after Kyler Murray went, we talk about Marquez Valdes-Scantling, who could end up being the wide receiver 2 on the Green Bay Packers, and we're going to hope that that's what happens. Now, I don't necessarily know yet if that's what's going to happen, but I do like Marquez Valdes-Scantling. So after MVS was picked, Russell Wilson came off the board, followed by Jalen Samuels, Drew Brees, Corey Davis, LaShawn McCoy, Larry Fitzgerald. I like Drew Brees a lot. He's going to be probably pretty similar to how he played last year, and I like that. Obviously, he's on a good offense. He's a great quarterback. Definitely a Hall of Famer. And he doesn't get you a lot of those rush yards like a guy like Kyler Murray gets you. So he may be a bit safer. But if you end up drafting Drew Brees is another great connection. Drew Brees and Michael Thomas is quite the stack. So Jalen Samuels went before Drew Brees. And Jalen Samuels is a guy who's the handcuff to James Conner. Now, a lot of people will tell you that he could be getting a shit ton of snaps on that team. They're going to go RBBC. Now, I don't necessarily think they're going to do RBBC, running back by committee, on Pittsburgh, but I still like Jalen Samuels because I know he's going to get some pass catching work, and he may probably potentially vulture some touchdowns out of the running game, and he may even run out there as a wide receiver. Will he do that in the real league? Who knows? Maybe. I was reading some fake news, and that's not going to happen, but we're going to hope that that happens. So, after Drew Brees went, Corey Davis was selected. Now, Corey Davis is a guy that I absolutely hate because I don't like Corey Davis because everyone thinks he's going to end up being good eventually. Last year, they tell you he's going to be good. The year before that, they probably told you he was going to be good. He's the same fucking guy every single year. He's gonna get so many targets, not gonna come down with the ball, and you're gonna end up regretting your decision of Corey Davis in the 8th round when you could get a guy like, let's look at the receivers: D.D. Westbrook, Sammy Watkins, two guys that like way more than him. Even though I don't think Geronimo Allison's gonna end up being the number 2 on Green Bay, he'll still be the 3. He may be in the slot. He may be getting like 10 points a fucking game. I'd rather have him over a guy like Corey Davis, who is very inconsistent, just like his teammate, Derrick Henry. Now, after Corey Davis was selected, LaShawn McCoy, the old fucking man, the Avengers Endgame spoiler himself, was selected. Now, I don't like him because I don't know what's going to happen in Buffalo. They've got a crowded fucking backfield just like San Francisco, so I stay away from that offense. So after LaShawn McCoy went, Larry Fitz came off the board, followed by D.D. Westbrook, Sammy Watkins, N'Keal Harry, and Donta Foreman. So we currently have 1, 2, 3, 4 picks from until it's my pick. 3 picks now. Wait, 1, 2, yeah, 3 picks until mine. So we're gonna hope that we can get a quarterback here that I like. I think in the 9th round, or a receiver that I like. So, Carson Wentz, uh, Cam Newton are guys that I'm not necessarily really targeting. Cam Newton's injury prone. Carson Wentz, or Cam Newton's currently injured with the shoulder, and Carson Wentz is injury prone. I think Carson Wentz could end up having a great year, but do I trust him when I could have a guy like famous Jameis and stack him with Dak in a couple rounds? I'd probably much rather end up doing that. So we are probably going to go receiver here because we have 1, 2, 3 receivers. And we got 1, 2, 3, 4 running backs. So we may actually just go running back here and secure some guys that I really like at the running back position. Hopefully a guy like, let's see who's down here. Peyton Barber, I like. Alexander Madison, I like. Dion Lewis, I like. Duke Johnson, Jamal Williams, all guys I like later. Matt Breida, guy I like later. Dion Lewis, like I said, Justice Hill. So there's a bunch of good running backs available, so we'll probably just go wide receiver here. So let's hope this thing fixed itself. So he went Carson Wentz, so we'll go wide receiver. And I know I've told you guys many of times that Geronimo Allison, wouldn't necessarily target him, but he could end up being great this year as the 3 on the team or even the 2. So in the 9th round, I'm kind of willing to take Geronimo Allison here. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 receivers and 1, 2, 3, 4 running backs, and we got a tight end as well. So we are going to look for a running back here or a quarterback if I think that Jameis will not fall to us. So his ADP is about 112, and I don't know if he will end up falling to us in the 11th round. Currently 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 out of the 12 teams have the quarterback. He picked Cam Newton. So we are the only team without a quarterback here. Now will teams start taking backup quarterbacks? Who knows? So I may end up going with I may end up going with not Cam Newton, but famous Jameis, cause he famous anus. You know what I'm saying? They famous Amos. Oh, that's Kanye, an X song. So we are now waiting for our pick. After T.J. Hawkinson was selected, Jordan Howard came off the board, followed by Courtland Sutton. Damian Harris was picked, and now it's our pick. Now the running back depth may end up collapsing, certifiably collapsing, before it is our pick. So we may have to reach for a guy like Ito, who could end up being a great rusher if in fact, what's his name, was to fall down. Now I also like Jerick McKinnon here, even though I said I don't like the San Francisco running backs, but the value here with such a late round pick on a running back who could end up touching the ball a bunch and getting a bunch of catches, a guy that was drafted in the top 4 rounds of fantasy last year, I like that value here in the 10th round. And he's a bench running back. He's not a guy I'm starting every week. He's probably not even going to see my fantasy lineup, maybe even ever, unless he shows what he can do with my 10th round pick. So, I think that is worth it in the 10th round. So, we are going to, now we have, I forgot to count. So, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 running backs, 1, 2, 3, 4 receivers. So, pretty balanced here. Typically, you want to finish the draft with more running backs than receivers, in my opinion, and we took the risk. We risked it for the biscuit, and we didn't go quarterback. Will people start taking backup quarterbacks before I can get my starting quarterback? Maybe. Maybe that will happen. Do I think it's going to happen? Probably not. I don't think a lot of them will come off the board. Now, we need to hope and pray that Jameis Winston is not taken. Now, that pick of Justin Jackson in the 10th round, in my opinion, is just 1 round too early. But if it does end up being that Justin Jackson ends up being this part of the rotation in on the Chargers offense, if Melvin Gordon holds out or gets traded, then that may be the best pick of the fucking draft. But we don't know that right now. So after I picked Jerick McKinnon, AP went, followed by Curtis Samuel, DK Metcalf, Justin Jackson, Chicago defense. Now, like I always say, don't draft a defense early. This is an 18-round draft, 17-round draft, my bad. You don't need to draft a defense early. You're ruining your potential of getting a good bit of depth here by picking a defense early when he could have had a guy at the running back position, a guy like Ito, a guy like Peyton Barber, a guy like Justice Hill, Dion Lewis, Matt Breida, Jamal Williams, all those kind of guys. And, or even, he has a tight end, so he doesn't need a backup tight end. Just a lot of positions here that he could have ended up going. So the auto pick picks him Jared Goff. Hopefully we can get a solid quarterback. We get our boy Jameis to come back to us. Now I said that I want Jameis. So realistically, when you say shit like that, you just speak it into existence that someone else is gonna pick the quarterback. In my opinion, that usually is what happens. That's why I don't like to highlight people in the watch list and stuff because then they just get sniped every single time. And just like I said, famous Jameis was absolutely sniped away from me, and I am now quite disappointed. But it is okay because hopefully Dak Prescott does end up falling to us here so that we can select him in the 11th round. Now, normally I don't like doing that, and I normally would wait till like the 12th, but sometimes I pick him this early. But you gotta do what you gotta do when you want to win in this kind of a draft. We need to make sure we get the quarterback that we want, and if we don't end up with Dak, I think that the quarterback position has completely fallen apart down to its core. So it's gonna be no bueno if we don't end up getting Dak here. So after Emmanuel Sanders went, we have to wait quite a while now. The thing is, when you're in a real draft, you need to be locked in on who's being picked. You need to be locked in. You need to print your draft sheet and cross that shit out. You have to make sure that you have the your draft sheet with you. You need to make sure that you can cross shit out and cross shit all the guys off that have been picked. Before the draft. You highlight all the sleepers you want, and then you either write down your team. If it's in person, I'd write down my team, but if it's online, I just look at the screen. I find that easier than writing down the whole team. But writing down bye weeks could help you if you write down your team. You put the bye week next to it, and you can better visualize who you're gonna pick next based upon that fact. So after Kareem Hunt was picked, Emmanuel Sanders came off the board, followed by Paris Campbell. Now we are going to have to be stuck here, waiting a while. Time's up again. This guy is just on auto draft, and it's annoying that Sleeper doesn't just put him on auto draft. That's the worst thing about Sleeper. I'd say that it doesn't just lock guys in auto draft, and you kind of have to wait. Now I don't know if there's a setting that needs to be changed to do that, because obviously Sleeper's auto draft is pretty good because it you can do like a draft by yourself and the whole CPU will just auto draft for you. Now I do a bunch of drafts like that on my channel. This is one of the few where it's with other people. And typically these drafts are more telling of what's going to happen in your real draft, but the simulation drafts tell you pretty much just as much in a much shorter time. I can make a video about that in like 20 minutes. This video is going to end up being like an hour long. Hopefully you guys will enjoy sitting through this whole thing with me. You like listening. You're having a great day. Whenever this video does end up getting uploaded, hope you're having a great day on today. So after Paris Campbell went, Austin Hooper went, followed by Ito Smith, Justice Hill, and now we are coming up shortly. Peyton Barber was selected, a running back that I like to target. Hopefully we can get Dak Prescott here. Alright, so we are 2 picks away now, and I think none of the guys, only one guy's on not here. So Dante Moncrief went. Let me talk about some of these picks now. Dante Moncrief's a guy that I like a lot because I think that he could end up being the wide receiver too on Pittsburgh over James Washington, which is a guy some people tend to target. I've seen videos about how people like James Washington, and I think you're just completely wrong if you like James Washington. I'd rather get Dante Moncrief and hope that, because I know Dante Moncrief is a good ball player. He's pretty good. He's not great. He's not the best receiver in the league. Not even that good, but he's definitely a good player who can catch the ball from a pretty good quarterback in Big Ben. And I think that he won't be too heavily covered. He won't have any of the top corners on him because the top corners on Juju, they may double Juju, and Dante Moncrief may be wide open. That's also why I like Vance McDonald to be open a lot. That's why I like to target Vance McDonald in the drafts. I would probably have Vance McDonald if he didn't get sniped way before me. So we are going to pick Dak Prescott here because we want to make sure we get our quarterback. Now, in this kind of a draft, like I said previously, you are going to have to get a backup quarterback. Now, that backup quarterback is going to need to have a different bye week than your starting quarterback. Now, I know that may sound pretty stupid to you. You may already have known that, but I've seen many drafts where someone drafts Dak Prescott with the 8th bye, and they'll also draft Lamar Jackson with the 8th bye. I've probably done it before because I wasn't paying attention. Now, in your real draft, you have to pay very much attention and get everything correct so that you don't have too many players on bye a certain week and stuff like that. Even I'm cognizant of doing that when it's a mock draft because obviously this draft has some ramifications because there's like 100 people watching this, maybe even more, and I'll get a comment telling me that I'm fucking stupid if I do something stupid like that. So, you guys obviously don't have that many people watching you mock typically, which obviously I'm not like some type of star or something. I'm just saying that I can't make as many mistakes here because it would prove to make me pretty stupid, and I don't think I'm very stupid when it comes to fantasy football. So after Dak Prescott went, Deshaun Hamilton came off the board, followed by Anthony Miller, James Washington. Now you see this. Dante Moncrief, a guy I told you to draft, goes at the 11.7, and a guy I tell you to avoid in James Washington on the exact same team goes at the 11.12. Just one, two, three, four picks later, James Washington is picked. Now you have to be just wrong to think James Washington is gonna have a turnaround year. I just really don't think it's gonna happen. I don't think he's gonna break out. I don't like him. So after we went Dickie Dak Prescott, or after James Washington went, followed by Carlos Hyde, Alexander Madison, now Jimmy Garoppolo has been selected. This guy also didn't have a quarterback, and he went Jimmy Garoppolo, so he probably would have went Dak. So likely a smart pick there, getting our backup guy. So now we're going to go running back. And we're likely just going to pick Nyheim Hines due to the fact that I think Nyheim Hines is still going to get some pass catching work. He's going to be the pass catcher on Indianapolis. And I know that if Marlon Mack was to ever go down, that I'm locked and loaded with a solid starter in Nyheim Hines. Now, I don't have Marlon Mack, obviously. Even though I wanted him, Marlon Mack was picked just one pick before us, but we have his backup. So it's all good. And also, when you get a guy like Nyheim Hines and Marlon Mack goes down, you can just offer Nyheim Hines to the guy who has Marlon Mack for a different piece, a different running back, a different receiver that you likely may want more because they're now scared that they lost the running back and they don't want to see that happen. That's just some strategy right there. So after we selected Nyheim Hines, Trey Burton came off the board, followed by Dion Lewis. Now, Dion Lewis is a guy I like to target later in drafts. He's a guy who could end up having some solid. He's gonna have some passing. He's gonna have the passing work in Tennessee as a running back, and I think that they may avoid using Derrick Henry so much like they did at the end of last year. I don't think that's gonna happen. So for that reason, I like a guy like Dion Lewis. So Philip Rivers came off the board here, a solid backup option here. Now, hopefully, we do end up getting Josh Allen for the upside here. I like Josh Allen the most because Dak Prescott, in my opinion, is pretty safe. And in the weeks where Dak Prescott has a hard schedule, you just turn it around 360 and you just throw Josh Allen in there. Josh Allen has an easy first 3 weeks. So does Dak. In my opinion, he's playing against the Giants, not that good of a defense. Playing against Miami, not that great of a defense week 3, and I forgot who they're playing week 2. But Josh Allen is also playing some easy defenses. He's playing the Jets, he's playing the Dolphins, he's playing the Giants. So it can't be pretty similar schedule for the Dallas Cowboys and the Buffalo Bills to start off the season. So it may be hard. You may end up making the wrong decision, but you need to you still have an option of flipping off of Dak or flipping off of Josh Allen if you're not too confident in just riding with one guy. And like I said, in these huge bench drafts, you need to make sure you get a backup quarterback. I wouldn't go 3 backup quarterbacks, but I definitely would make sure to get one backup quarterback and probably a backup tight end in this kind of format, depending on how many tight ends go, because you need to make sure you get a tight end that you're because it's harder to stream off the waiver wire. So we currently have Njoku at bye 7, so you'd want to go a guy with a different bye for your backup. A guy like Mark Andrews, Noah Fant, Dallas Goedert, solid options. Even Delaney Walker, who may have a rough start to the beginning of the season, but because of his injury, but he's probably gonna come. He got injured week 1, so he's obviously probably fully healed, but he's an old man, so you got to keep that in context. So after Philip Rivers was selected, Devin Singletary came off the board, followed by Traquan Smith, Devin Funchess, Darwin Thompson. Now Kalen Ballage after that. Now Kalen Ballage is a guy that a lot of people like to target because they think Kenyon Drake may not be the guy. They think they may with their new coach Flores, they may not use Kenyon Drake as much. They may do something. They're going to run with Kalen Ballage. I think Kalen Ballage is going to get the touches, and if Kenyon Drake was to go down, Kalen Ballage would probably end up being pretty good. Now I think he probably has standalone work. He's probably a solid bench option, but I don't think he's necessarily a must-get sleeper like some people think. Now you can call me stupid. A lot of people do. A lot of people in the comments they enjoy calling me stupid. They tell me that my takes are wrong, but that's fine. You can have your own opinion. But over here on this channel, we like winning. So if you use a lot of my opinions, you are going to end up winning your league. So right now, we're going to do a quick breakdown. After Kalen Ballage went, Devontae Parker went. So this guy went 2 Miami players. Fucking stupid Patriots fan. That is stupid. You don't want that many Miami players on your team. So after that guy went, Devontae Parker, Delaney Walker went. Does this guy already have a tight end? He does. So people are going to end up drafting backup tight ends, so we're likely going to have to draft one maybe in like the 15th round. So after Delaney Walker went, Mecole Hardman went, a guy who was a couple of months ago, you or not just last month, you'd be hearing guys, even myself, be like, oh, Mecole Hardman, he's going to end up being hot because Tariq getting suspended, and Tariq Hill did not end up getting suspended. He's likely not going to be suspended at all this year unless something comes up, which I highly doubt is going to happen. So you're going to end up with quite the year from Tariq Hill and quite the quiet year from Mecole Hardman. Now, Mecole Hardman in a best ball format, I have him in my Scott Fishbowl draft. He may end up being satellite draft, which is best ball. He may end up being pretty fire because he'll just score a touchdown every couple of weeks uh, Patrick Mahomes loves throwing touchdowns. But he's a speedy guy, just like Tariq Hill. So, but they don't really need two of the same guy on the team. So for that reason, I don't think he's gonna start off that hot this year, and I would kind of avoid him. So we're probably gonna go running back or receiver here. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5, 6 running backs, and 1, 2, or 1, 2, 3, 4 receivers. So we're probably gonna need another receiver now. Mark Andrews was picked before we could go, and same with Lamar Jackson. Two guys I was going to be targeting later in the draft. So hopefully we can still get some solid guys later. We are probably just going to pull the trigger on the backup quarterback here before they all deplete. And we don't end up getting a guy that I want. Like, oh, actually, we didn't even want Lamar Jackson. That's just a fucking lie by me because I said that he's the same buy as Dak Prescott, who's our starter. So you need two quarterbacks with different buys, obviously. So, obviously, that kind of makes sense. We are now one pick away from our pick. So we're going to hopefully get Josh Allen here. But now that I've said that we want to get Josh Allen, he'll probably just get picked here. Right from under our nose, but that's okay because there's other options here, obviously. There's more safe guys like Kirk. Kirk's pretty safe. Tom Brady's pretty safe. He's never going to put up like a great week, but he'll always be pretty A-okay. So, hopefully the time is up on this guy's pick. He gets the Rams defense, so we get Josh Allen here. Now, picking a defense, I see now when you have this deep of a bench, I would still wait all the way till the last round to get a quarterback. Not a quarterback, a defense. But I don't know if that's how it necessarily works in such a deep bench league. Typically, I'm used to 15 or 16 rounds, not one extra round. Normally, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bench spots. So I think that's only 15 rounds. I don't know. I'm kind of stupid. I play in leagues with all different types of layouts and benches, but 6 bench or 5 bench is pretty typical. In my opinion, I like 6, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I like 6 more than 5, but that's just my opinion. So after we went Josh Allen, Kiss and Titties Trubisky went, followed by Greg Olsen. Now we're probably going to need a backup tight end, like I stated. So we're either going to go with the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 6 running backs. We only have 1, 2, 3, 4 receivers. So we're probably going to just go receiver here. And then just hope that we can end up with a receiver that we want here. Now, the wide receiver well has run quite dry. There's not too many guys that I necessarily love back here, but there is a name here that I do like a decent amount due to the fact that we have Josh Allen, and I think that while I like Robert Foster better than this guy, I like Robert Foster. I think he'll end up being the one on the team, but John Brown showed that he can do it in the NFL and could end up being a solid target for Josh Allen, and for that reason, we are going to go with John Brown here. So after Jags defense went, Kirk Cousins went, followed by Baltimore Ravens, and then we selected John Brown. After John Brown, we selected John Brown. Michael Gallup was selected. Michael Gallup is not a guy I'm really targeting at all because I don't really know the Dallas Cowboys don't really have a wide receiver. They do have a wide receiver. One, it's Amari Cooper, and then around there's just a bunch of names that could be catching the ball. Randall Cobb's on the team, Michael Gallup, all types of guys. Cole Beasley's gone, but I don't necessarily know if that means Michael Gallup is gonna have a solid year. Where I'd rather take a flyer on a guy like John Brown back here, and where I think that I have the John Brown, Josh Allen connection. And I think that John Brown could end up having an okay year. So we're going to need our backup tight end here. And hopefully our tight end is by 7. So we can't draft another guy that's by 7. Keep that in mind when you're doing that. We could end up just going with Chris Herndon, who's certifiably buried down here. And it will be a solid option once he gets back from that suspension. I think he's a 4-week suspension, so he'll be back game 5 or 6, something like that. But that's fine with me. So after after Michael Gallup was picked, Jack Doyle went, followed by LA Chargers, Raquel Armstead, and Andy Isabella. Jack Doyle is a guy who I don't necessarily love at tight end, but he will have his weeks where he scores. His teammate Eric Ebron I don't like at all because of Jack Doyle's return this year. And they also have Mo Alley Cox, who will probably score a touchdown or 2 or 3 this season on the Colts. So we're going to hope that we do end up getting a tight end that we want here, and then we will go kicker and defense. Now, in these kind of drafts on Sleeper, you don't have to go kicker or defense, so you may not want to do that, but for the draft, I want to show you guys which kicker and defense I would pick because I think it's stupid not to show you guys that. Even though that's not the strategy I would utilize, I do want to show you guys what I would personally do because I do think drafting at least a defense here in this situation to get the defense that I want would be ideal, which is the Cowboys, but I don't know if they'll fall to me in this draft. Sorry if you guys hear my chair squeaking, but I hopefully this draft has not gone very long. I don't think maybe hopefully less than an hour because the last draft I did with FantasyCouch took like so long. It took like an hour, I think, or 58 minutes. That video came out on Thursday. That video took forever to film. I was fucking sweating, and it was no bueno. Right now I'm not sweating. I'm just having a day because it's like 6 o'clock when I started recording, and it was like 9 or 10. It was like 10 at night or 11 at night when I finished that one. But nevertheless, no complaining here. After Andy Isabella went, the Vikings D went, followed by Texans D, Denver Broncos, and then Thomas Brady. So, like I said, a lot of people will be taking backup quarterbacks in this type of draft because you kind of need one. In my opinion, when picking up a guy off the waiver wire that you want is not going to be as good, like I've stated multiple times. So we are likely just going to be going with that tight end, backup tight end position, and hopefully securing Chris Herndon here because I like his upside of when he's on the field. So after Tom Brady went, Chase Edmonds went, who is DJ's backup. I think DJ is a guy that he's not very injury prone, but if he did end up going down, Chase Edmonds is a pretty solid player. And that's obviously a good pick in these deep drafts where you're picking no-name running backs. Or not no-name running backs. Chase Edmonds not no-name. Maybe you didn't know who Chase Edmonds was, but just guys that don't have aren't too popular. Don't have a huge popular name, but still could end up having a solid fantasy football finish. So hopefully this doesn't take too long and we are able to get our draft finished within the next 5 minutes. These last 3 rounds, hopefully. This guy got auto picked. Justin Tucker, Tony Pollard or Pollard was picked by this guy. Tony Pollard is the second running back on Dallas, a guy who is behind Ezekiel Elliott. Now, if Ezekiel Elliott does end up holding out through the season, I don't think that's going to happen. But if that was to happen, then having Tony Pollard obviously would be pretty good, running behind the number one defensive line, or one of the top 5 defensive lines in the league, may even be the number one not defensive line, offensive line in the league. So maybe it will work out for that guy. Now, I don't think Zeke will necessarily hold out, but I don't know. Okay, so after Tony Pollard was picked, Deebo Samuels was selected, followed by Jamison Crowder. And now we are just 2 beautiful picks away from making our pick. Deebo Samuel and Jamison Crowder are 2 kind of guys that I don't necessarily draft. Normally, the draft doesn't even last this long, obviously, so I would never have the opportunity to take them. But Deebo Samuels is a rookie. He could end up being pretty good this year on San Francisco, but they have so many names out there. George Kittle, Dante Pettis, Marquise Goodwin, Deebo Samuel. I doubt he'll end up being too much this year because there's too many mouths to feed in that offense. After James Crowder was picked, Matt Breida was picked, a guy I liked targeting, and then Chris Thompson. So we are going to end up getting our backup tight end here. So we want to make sure we get the guy we want. So we're going to just straight up draft Chris Herndon IV with his suspension and just hold him. And just play David Njoku for the first couple of weeks. And if David Njoku was to get hurt or not play too well, then we'd just be happy with Chris Herndon. Okay, so now we just have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 picks until our selection. So hopefully we do end up getting the Dallas Cowboys defense that we want. So let me just ask you guys something. You've been watching this video for likely 15 minutes at least. The version of this OBS thing I use to record doesn't tell me how long I've been recording for, so I don't know how long I've been recording for, but if you guys have been watching for this long, like, I salute you, man. Leave something in the comments, like, say say something about Chris Herndon, okay? Or just leave a great comment, say, oh, I love your video, or this video fucking sucks, and at the end write Chris Herndon, so that I know that you made it all the way to the back of this, because that's actually kind of fucking crazy if you made it this far. You're a true fan, you're a true person, you're a true fantasy football fucking scholar if you made it all the way to the end of this. Now, I don't like editing these videos down, because I think you get way less analysis if I was to edit out between my pick. Like, I talk about a bunch of stuff. Sure, I may fucking stop talking for 5 whole seconds because my brain just gets fried for 5 seconds because I've been talking for an hour straight, but I'm sure you guys can deal with those 5 seconds, and it keeps the video genuine. It makes it feel like you're just in the room chilling doing a mock draft with me, even though you have no idea what I look like. So after I picked Chris Herndon, Jalen Richard was picked, followed by Cleveland Browns defense, Jimmy Graham, Marquise Goodwin, the fastest man in the NFL, and Dallas Goedert. So this guy went with 2 late round tight ends. I like this. Greg Olsen, Dallas Goedert. All right, after Dallas Goedert went, Kenny Stills went. So now we get to get our defense, which is the Dallas Cowboys. Now, the way you're going to pick a defense is you want to pick a defense that has an easy week 1 opponent on the offensive side. So like the defense is playing a shitty offense week 1, and if they have play good easy opponents week 1, 2, and 3, even better. But you can just have them for 1 week, and then you just cut their ass, drop them onto the waiver wire, pick up a new defense. There's all types of articles you can read online about which defense to get every single week. I'll probably even make a video about it. I'll talk about it in one of my videos for the week during the season, so make sure you're subscribed for that. And that should be pretty normal now. I'm going to make a video also pretty soon about the beginning of the season, and hopefully that ends up working out for you doing that strategy, unless you go for the Bears obviously earlier. Otherwise I would just advise streaming. Now going the Bears in the 10th round I wouldn't necessarily do, but that's something some people do. So after we picked the Cowboys, CJ Anderson was picked, followed by the New England Patriots, and now that guy picked CJ Anderson, which is the Detroit Lions backup, the backup to Carry-On. Now I don't know why you would do that, because Carry-On, unless Carry-On goes down, but even then I don't think CJ Anderson's going to be seeing the workload there. So I don't think that like I said, he will be getting all types of touches if Carry-On wants to go down. Now they still have Theo Riddick on the team. Will Theo Riddick get cut? Who knows? But I don't necessarily know if CJ Anderson is that good in that situation. There's other running backs available. A guy like Theo Riddick, a guy like TJ Yeldon, who could end up being the one on that team. A guy like let's see, Corey Clement, or Cordero Patterson somehow is still a running back, even though he's pretty much just plays receiver. There's not a lot of good guys down here, so I guess you could do that. But I'd rather take a shot on Malcolm Brown, who, if Todd Gurley went down, may potentially end up being the number 2 on that team. Or a guy like Rex Burkhead, who could have weeks of greatness, and if Sony Michel was to go down, could end up playing a lot. Okay, so after the Patriots defense was selected, that was the last pick we talked about, Harrison Butker was selected, followed by Greg Zuerlein and Will Lutz. Now, I don't know much about kickers, I'm being honest with you. Kickers is the most least researched position, and they're still in your lineup every single week. That's why I advise getting rid of kickers, because I don't really like them for that reason. I mean, I still have them in all of my leagues, but it's a-okay with me not going with or getting rid of those kickers. Even if you have them, I try to nerf them, because I don't really know too much about kickers. They're hard to figure out how good they're going to do each week. It's pretty much a crapshoot unless you have one of those good guys like Tucker or Greg Zuerlein. Lutz, all these guys are pretty consistent. But then you're like, if you're picking the 12th best kicker, they'll have off weeks. Kickers have off weeks. You could absolutely get demolished by a kicker, or your kicker can demolish you by playing terrible, and you can't do anything about it. And that's the worst thing, because it's so hard to predict. Now, we're likely going to be hopefully getting a solid kicker here at the end of the draft. Now, sorry if you kept hearing my chair squeak the whole video. It's probably annoying. Now, I think that a lot of people have already picked defenses, so there will be actual players being picked here in the last round, which is interesting because we can actually talk about some players. So Jordan Reed, he's a guy who is way too injury prone for me to pick, but when he's on the field and isn't injured, he plays pretty fucking well. So with the 17th round flyer, that may prove as something to do. But when he's your backup, when you got Jared Cook starting, you're never gonna have Jordan Reed in. So I don't necessarily know if that's a good strategy. Noah Fans is a guy that I also like. I think maybe in Denver he could end up being great, but normally rookie tight ends typically have a struggle getting a lot of catches their first year, like Gesicki. A lot of people talked about last year in fantasy, didn't really do anything. Hawkinson may be the only he's the only really rookie tight end that I trust entirely in getting a bunch of targets this year. He proved in college that he was pretty good, just like Fant did, but I think that the Lions will commit to throwing the ball to Hawkinson in the red zone. He's a big body, huge target, and I think that even without the red zone, he'll still be catching passes. So after Noah Fant went, Giovanni Bernard was picked. Giovanni Bernard is a guy who, let's see this guy. Oh, he doesn't have Mixon. He's the handcuff to Mixon, in my opinion. And when Mixon's out, he typically plays pretty good. He'll still get touches when Mixon's in, but he's not a guy you're gonna want to start. He's not like, in my opinion, like Latavius Murray, where you can start him even when Alvin Kamara's playing. So after Gio Bernard was selected, Jason Witten was picked, followed by the Bills defense. Jason Witten is he's old. I don't really trust him for fantasy. He's probably gonna be a big help to the Cowboys because he's gonna be able to block, and he's a solid touchdown target. But would I target him in fantasy? Probably not, because I don't think he's obviously the younger Jason Witten. He's 1 year older than he was last year, and last year he was in the booth announcing games terribly. So yeah. After the Buffalo Bills were selected, Mike Davis comes off the board, followed by Adam Vinatieri. Mike Davis is a late round guy who could end up with an early down roll on Chicago if David Montgomery can't figure that shit out. So that could be a potential value pick here in the 17th round, a guy who could end up getting touches. And a lot of them, because Mike Davis proved he's an okay running back when he was on the Seahawks, I believe. So don't necessarily hate that pick. So after Mike Davis was picked, Adam Vinatieri was picked. So now we just have one pick until it's our beautiful selection, and we can pick the kicker we want, which is either Robbie Gould or Jake Elliott or Giorgio Trevecchio, or whichever kicker is available, because I don't know much about kickers, so I just randomly pick one. I'd rather not get Robbie Gould because his bye is bye week 4, and then I'll have to drop him for someone else, and that's fucking annoying. But it's whatever. I don't really give a fuck. So we'll just go with Jake Elliott here, who was pretty solid the past couple of years. After Jake Elliott went, Michael Badgley went, followed by Giorgio Trovecchio, and now Mr. Irrelevant is going to be picked here. Now, not really very irrelevant to the fantasy team. Actually, very irrelevant because it's a kicker, Dan Bailey. So, our finishing lineup is quarterback Dickie Dak Prescott, 2 running backs, Damian Williams, Kerryon Johnson. Our receivers are Julio and Tyler Boyd, tight end David Njoku, flex David Montgomery, kicker Jake Elliott, defense Cowboys, bench Dante Pettis, Latavius Murray, Geronimo Allison, Jerick McKinnon, Naheem Hines, Josh Allen, John Brown, and Chris Herndon. So thank you guys all for watching the video. Please click the subscribe button that's on the screen or down below. You're going to click on the Johnny Manziel picture, click the notification bell, or down below you click the subscribe button and the notification bell to get notified of every video, and then click on one of the videos that's on your screen right now. So have a great goddamn day, guys. I'll see you guys tomorrow on whatever day this is uploaded. Goodbye, guys.